Hi guys, this is Sarah from Weird Horizon Podcast, and you are listening to Bigfoot Club Podcast.
Hey everybody, Robert Jesse Dominguez, Bigfoot Club, Season 6, Episode...
Size?
Okay,
Size.
Man.
6.
How's it going, man?
It's going. It's you have a lot to say on this
Yeah, I do.
this episode of what happened recently.
Yeah, you're right. I got we haven't I've been saying it. Hold on. Before I go any further, let me just say, for people who are just now coming to our podcast and discovering us for the first time, thank you. Mm-hmm. The people who've been listening to us continuously, thank you as well. Mm-hmm. If you're one of those people who have not followed us or subscribed, please do so now, because it really, really helps us out a lot. Whether you comment, give us a 5-star review, but hit follow so you can see all our new episodes coming out. So I'll just say that for right now. So,
What social medias are we on?
We're on Facebook, X. Sorry, I almost said Twitter.
It's Twitter, but yeah,
X, Instagram, and TikTok. I don't know why I said it like that.
Don't stop.
TikTok, you don't stop. Yeah. So we're on those, and we're still getting a pretty good following. But yeah, that's what we got right
And
now.
if you don't like listening to us on Spotify or Apple or all that stuff, we are on YouTube.
Yes, we are on YouTube.
So you can just go and
We're pretty much everywhere. We're on Google Play, Apple, Pandora. We're on all the major ones.
Are we on Amazon?
We are on Amazon.
Nice.
So we are on Amazon.
That's great. So for those who are, because I've met some people who are very anti Spotify,
that's okay.
and I'm all like, okay, well, I mean, we should be on the platform that you always listen to music or podcasts on.
Yeah, we're everywhere.
And if you don't have that, you can always go to YouTube because it's a website.
That's true. So we were supposed to do a show a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
And I'll just say I had an incident where I fell and I bruised the shit out of my tailbone.
Yep.
And it was so bad. You saw it. My whole rear end was purple, like Barney or something.
It was bad, and you had a hard time moving a little bit. You were able to, once you were walking and stuff, you were going.
Yeah.
But it was that moment where sitting down was uncomfortable.
I mean, it's still a little discomfort right now. So
yeah, that's why I gave you the bigger chair. That
yeah.
But we do have some chairs now. We're not using office chairs.
Yeah.
So that's a plus.
Yeah.
Not to take away from your story, but do you want to go ahead and say what happened whenever you fell and who found you?
Sebastian.
And this was in the garage, right?
Yeah, it was really dumb. I was pushing down some recycle and I just lost my footing, and I fell right on my tailbone, and then I landed on my back, and I landed so hard that I lost my breath. And I was trying to catch my breath, and Sebastian just runs into the garage and he says, "Uncle Robert, are you okay? Do I need to call 911?
Yeah.
Do I need to call my dad?" Because I think at the time you were taking a shower or something.
I was taking a shower because we did the yard work.
Yeah, we had just finished doing yard work.
And
so
I was like, man, I'm sweating. I smell like grass. Grass and sweat just does not mix.
Yeah.
I feel gross, and we're about to go have dinner too. So I was like, well, gonna go take a shower. So yeah.
So he was really on me, and I couldn't. I was trying to catch my breath, number one, and then he was asking me like 100 questions, 100 miles an hour, and I was going, "Sebastian, let me catch my breath. I'm fine. I just fell." I go, and I'm in pain, and so I just laid on my side and I put my head, I think, on the lawnmower because it just felt right, I said, okay. But I think the first 3 days was just hard to get around, and Because once I lay down and go to sleep, and it was my back just stiffed up, and it's just really hard to move around. But once I got up and moved around, I was fine.
Yeah.
So
you're better now. Obviously, you're moving around more, and
yeah.
I'm not to say that you weren't doing that. You were still going to work. I think even the next, because it happened on a Sunday, right?
A Saturday.
Sunday. I know you spent most of your time like resting, and then Monday you were like, man, like, should I call out? And I think you fought through it, and you still went to work.
Yeah, I took a lot of ibuprofen and a lot of Tylenol, and so I was able to get through it. So that's been a couple, like this is the second week. So
yeah.
But anyway, everybody, sorry for not doing a show, but
sorry, Brian.
Yeah, sorry, B.
Yeah, B-Town
down. So
what up, R?
Did he really say it like that?
Yeah. He's like he messaged me because, man, I just realized I hope like Robert's not mad at me because the way I said it. I hope he doesn't realize that, or I hope he doesn't think that I was trying to like be a dick or anything. I was like, dude, calm down. You're all right, dude.
He's one of our closest fans. I'm not gonna be mad at him. So he can say whatever he wants as long as he listens to the show.
Because he was just like, because in my mind I was like, what do I need to say to match that? And it just sounded dumb, lame. I guess I just got to say another letter.
Yeah.
I was like, Brian, you're thinking too much into it. You're fine.
Yeah. So, I did want to talk about. This is not Bigfoot stuff, so sorry. It's mysterious deaths that it's always bugged me. Always bugged me completely. It was the Josh Maddux story. Mm-hmm. And the other one was the Rey Rivera story. Yeah, that one will always be. Ever since I heard this story, I was like, "Wow, this is how and why." Yeah, the why is probably scarier. Yeah, because so it depends on which one you want me to read first. Let's go with the Josh Maddux one. Okay. So I got some articles here, some unexplained deaths, and it's the strange death of Josh Maddux, the boy in the chimney. Yeah, that one's kind of creepy, but yeah. So on May 8, 2008, Josh Maddux, 18 years old, left his parents' house for a short walk nearby. He was a nature lover, so this was nothing unusual, but he was never seen alive again. 7 years later, in August 2015, less than a mile from Josh's home property, developer Chuck Murphy was demolishing an old wood cabin to make a way for 32 new family homes. The cabin hadn't been used in years, and the inside was dirty, damp, filled with rotten timbers, and strewn with garbage. Work began to demolish the chimney inside the cabin, and to their surprise of the demolition team, crammed inside brickwork was a mummified body, which was confirmed as Josh. His body was naked, apart from a thin shirt, and his clothes were nearly stacked inside the cabin. What happened to Josh? Did he climb into the chimney in the cabin? Was he forced in by a person or persons unknown? The story of Josh Maddux continues to stir debate amongst armchair detectives. So that one's always bugged me because I remember reading it like years ago, and I know you haven't got to it, but there was no note, right? There's no note, and he folded his clothes nearby and then crawled up a chimney because he didn't have any superficial wounds. He didn't have any cuts, any stabs, and there was no drugs in his system. On May 8, 2008, Josh left the house telling his sister Kate he was going for a walk. He often went hiking alone, so when his sister saw him at the home before he left, she thought little of it. But when he failed to return later that evening, the family became worried. On May 13th, 5 days after he disappeared, his father, Mike, called the police to report Josh missing.
So isn't it reporting missing is 48
48 hours.
So why did he wait 5 days?
I don't know. Maybe he was trying to call all his friends or something. I don't know.
Man, see that always.
That's it's kind of concerning.
Even if he, unintentional. Like I'm not saying he's at fault here, but that's got to bother any parent to wait that long. Mike said, I got up one morning and Josh was there. Then he never came home. The next day he still didn't come home, and I called his friends, but nobody had seen him. Nobody knows where he is. So that right there would have just allowed me to call the police and already.
Yeah.
So the search for Josh, the authorities, friends, and family scoured the neighborhood, nearby parkland area where Josh may have decided to go walking. After months of searching, nothing had been uncovered and hopes faded. Josh's sister Kate hoped he had left town to go and play music and started a different life. She wrote of her brother's disappearance. Since Josh was 18, it had been reasonable to assume he may have decided to leave town and start a new life. As one of his 2 older sisters, I have always believed this was the case. I've expected Josh to return home to my father's house at any time with a wife and small children so that he can meet their grandparents and 2 aunts. Josh has always been known for his musical and literary talent, so maybe we would find him playing music with the band or on tour, or catch him writing successful novels under a pen name so that he could keep his preferred lifestyle of solitude in the woods. The police had no reason to suspect any foul play and so listed him as a missing person. It's just all that. It just sounds wrong. Like 5 days. How can you? I don't know. I don't want to point fingers on that. It's just 5 days, man.
Yeah, that's kind of concerning a little bit. I mean, maybe they were. The only thing I can think of, maybe that their parents were completely trustful of him and just, gave him a little leeway and thought maybe he just, but, not to leave and not say where you're going.
Well, I mean, I don't know. All of it just sounds, it raises an eyebrow or two because, I don't know, man. Allow it to go 5 days. I don't care how old you are. I don't care how responsible you are. You would think if they're close to him as they say they are and all that stuff, that he would call and be like, hey. And if he lives there too, right? I don't know if they said he lived there, but in 2015, Chuck Murphy, 80, a builder from Colorado Springs, was demolishing his old wood cabin at Meadow Lark Lane in a large area of land surrounded by tall pines. Chuck had additionally purchased a cabin in the 1950s. He was formerly the homestead of Thunderhead Ranch and Rampart Range Road of Woodlands Park's north side, and an infamous dining, drinking, and gambling complex owned by Big Bert Bergstrom in the 1930s. Animals had been a problem, and there was noticeable stench when Chuck came to the cabin on August 7th. As the workers dismantled the chimney, one of the 2 in the cabin using an excavator reached the interior. Chuck made the horrific discovery of a body of a young man cramped into the fetal position with his legs above his head. He called the police, who arrived at the county coroner, who later, with the help of dental records, positively identified the body to be that of the missing man, Joshua Maddux. The Maddux family was shocked by this news of discovery in Josh's body. His sister Kate said, the situation doesn't make any sense at all. We were really expecting him to be anywhere else in the world, and he was actually very close. The only thing we can figure is he was being an 18-year-old kid checking out a cabin, and it had already been abandoned for a long time, and a horrible accident happened. I don't know. It's like the more I read, the more angry I get.
Yeah.
The cabin was only 2 blocks away from the Maddux family.
Golly, that bugs me.
Yet the searches for Josh had overlooked the building. There was no sign of life, no reason to check a chimney there. Chuck Murphy, the cabin owner himself, had rarely visited. However, on the occasions he had to check in, he had noticed anything unusual about the property, like the smell of a decaying corpse. Like,
Wonder how long he was like that before he died.
yeah, I don't know. Since the cabin stood centrally in a large plot of land surrounded by tall pines around 50 feet around from the road, police suggested that there was no adjacent homes. If Josh had cried for help, no one would have been able to hear him regardless. Ah, Lord. Further investigation into Josh's death, the Teller County coroner, Al Bourne, did an autopsy and found no evidence of any drugs in Josh's remains. He said the heart issue showed no signs of trauma. The heart tissue showed no signs of trauma. There were no broken bones, no knife marks, there were no bullet holes. There is so far no answers to a number of things. This is very confusing. It was not an instant death. How he died is only a matter of speculation, but we know he did not starve to death because that takes many weeks. So then you go down the chain, and you have dehydration, which can take just a few days, and the other would be hypothermia, which can take a day or two. We have no evidence to say which one came first. On September 28, 2015, Bourne made a ruling of accidental death. He speculated that Josh had climbed into the chimney and became stuck in the brick. See, okay, so how he was naked.
Yeah.
So how can that be an accidental death?
Yeah, I don't get that.
That part right there. If he had his clothes on, yeah, that would make sense. Accidental death. No, it looks like
it's like some kind of cover-up or something.
I don't know. He speculated that Josh climbed into the chimney and became stuck in the brickwork. Bourne stated that Josh's position in the chimney appeared to have been voluntary act to gain access. He concluded the most likely cause of death was hypothermia, as the temperature around the time of his disappearance between May 8th and May 10th, 2008, had dropped to the high 20s. Discrepancies in the coroner's report. Okay, this is a good read. Many locals had issues with the coroner's report, including the family. Chuck questioned the coroner's conclusion of accidental death, as the chimney had been built 20 years before. During its construction, it was fitted with a thick wire mesh hung from steel hooks to keep animals and debris from becoming lodged inside the chimney or entering the cabin itself.
Yeah, they had a cage on top, so you couldn't access the cabin from on top. So he couldn't access it from the top of the roof and crawl in at all. He had to do it from inside.
So he would have to go in legs first?
Maybe. I don't know.
That doesn't make sense.
It doesn't.
He would have... No, man.
Because it's like, these are hard bars. You can't get out. They're still in place. There's no way he could have got that way.
Murphy said it was a heavy wire grate. Wire mesh. I installed it across the chimney about one row of bricks from the top. We didn't want any trouble with raccoons or things getting into the chimney. Bourne thought the grate would have been rusted or corroded and stated nobody saw the metal mesh. We didn't see it in any of our photos. It may have disappeared. Murphy responded that all metalwork had been collected and taken for scrap during the demolition. This explained why the coroner did not identify the mesh, as it wasn't anywhere near the chimney. They were just gathering up all the steel, angle iron, and things as part of the demolition, Murphy said. They had no idea the mesh had any significance. Conceding to Murphy, Bourne reopened the case 3 days after his initial conclusion. It was not only the rebar that caused doubt about the original autopsy. For example, a large wooden breakfast bar that had been torn from a wall in the kitchen dragged over to block the chimney from inside the cabin raised further suspicions. If the breakfast bar had been torn from the wall, then who had done it and why?
Yeah, he couldn't go in the chimney and then put the breakfast bar there to block it.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's why I said it's some kind of cover-up.
Josh's body had also been found in a fetal position with his legs above his head and disjointed from his torso. He would have had to have entered the chimney head first to get in such a position. This was somewhat unusual position, and Bourne had earlier commented that he thought it would have taken 2 people to position him in such a fashion. What was even stranger was that when Josh's body had been found, he was wearing only a thin thermal shirt, and his clothes had actually been found inside the cabin, folded up next to the fireplace. Bourne said of this evidence, "This one really taxed our brains. We found his clothing just outside the firebox. He only had a thermal t-shirt on. We don't know why he took his clothes off, took his shoes and socks off, and went in, and why he went in outside, climbed on the roof, and went down the chimney. It was not linear thinking." The revised autopsy report said that the cause of death was accidental death, murder, or undetermined causes. Bourne said, "We've come up with the most plausible explanation, and it will remain an accident. He did come down the chimney. That's our conclusion."
So I think, I don't know if you got to the part yet, but I think he had a brother that committed suicide before this. And, if it's not 2 people or a conspiracy that killed him, I wonder if like he was talking to his brother or something. And, they led him to this cabin. I don't know, but
his dead brother?
Yeah.
Murphy said that there was no way that guy crawled into the chimney with the steel webbing. He didn't come down the chimney, and he remained convinced that Josh's death had been no accident, adding, "He was only wearing his thermal shirt, no pants, no socks or shoes." Murphy said it was ridiculous to think a teen stripped down to just a shirt, climbed up to the roof and then the chimney and slid down knowing he'd be trapped. Oh, man. Theories on the Josh Maddux death and Andy Newman link. The police received several anonymous tip-offs suggesting leads and naming suspects had bragged about killing Josh. And one such suspect is now incarcerated in a Texas jail. Had a previous time in Seattle and Portland prisons with a long history of violent crime. One tip-off had informed the police that this man had been seen with Josh. When speaking of the man, Alborn said, "They can't give me times and specifics, and we can't generate stuff that goes back 7 years." Bourne also doubted that the man would have been able to put Josh in the chimney alone. I don't know. In 2015, a post Reddit in 2015 gave a name to the suspect just mentioned. The post said, "I went to high school with this skinny, dorky hippie named Andy who played guitar in the band. I was never good friends with him or anything, but a year or so after I graduated, one of my good friends, Josh, started hanging out with him and then went missing. Turns out, in addition to become a lot scarier looking, Andy had indeed headed down to New Mexico where he found himself shooting the shit with the caretaker of a disabled guy and got invited to their apartment. Caretaker gets in the shower, and when he comes out, the disabled guy is stabbed to death and Andy's gone. When Andy got arrested, he also claimed to have killed a woman in Teos and stuffed her body in a barrel. The cops had indeed found a woman stuffed in a barrel in Teos, but already had somebody in custody for it and decided to stick with the guy instead. What?
That's weird.
Years later, I found out that the caretaker had died in a bar fight, and without him, the cops didn't have much of way of evidence somehow. So the case against Andy was dropped too. Several of us went to the cops saying, "Yo, Josh, who went missing, was last seen with Andy, who's a murderer. Maybe you should check that out." Despite a fair amount of pestering and nothing never really came of it. And by nothing, I mean that the police mostly didn't even return our calls and once accidentally canceled the bulletin on Josh because he's alive and well and living in the next town over. He wasn't. He was actually in the chimney of an abandoned cabin, like 2 blocks from his parents' house. The coroner said the body had been there for about 7 years and ruled the death accidental, concluding that Josh had probably climbed down the chimney in an attempt to break into the house and gotten stuck, which, given the age of the corpse, doesn't seem overly ridiculous. Except for the fact that, in addition to Josh had last been seen with Andy immediately before his stabbing spree, People called in report having heard rumors that Andy was bragging about having put Josh in a hole.
Does anybody? No one calls a chimney a hole, right?
I mean, it's a hole to a house.
I've never heard it. But anyway, go ahead and continue.
Somebody had ripped a heavy bar off the wall in the kitchen and propped it against the fireplace. Or the fact that Josh's stuff was already inside the cabin, meaning A, he already broke it in and would have locked himself out to have go in the chimney, or B, he might have noticed that either the flue or the big bar would have prevented him from getting in through the fireplace. I don't know what he means by the flue or the big bar. Or the fact that he was found, Josh's knees were above his head, which sounds to me like he had to go in head first. Disclaimer, not an expert at fucking all. Or maybe the fact that Josh was barefoot and naked down, waist down. This is just my opinion, but I don't care who you are. You don't try to climb in head first into a chimney via a hole rusted through a metal grate with your dick hanging out. So someone... as far as I can tell, nobody even bothered to call Andy to risk or to ask if he knew anything. By the way, from what I hear, Andy's still out there doing his thing when he's not in the mental hospital. That is scary. All I'm saying is I wish they had done some investigating. I'm going to reword that. Open an investigation, try to track down some new leads, interview some of the folks who had been calling in tips for 7 years. Maybe check for some semen or something. I don't know. Don't just say accidental. Dust off your hands and call it a day. Andy's full name, it was Andrew Richard Newman. He was arrested in suspicion of a fatal stabbing in New Mexico and is currently serving time. Has a picture of him. Conclusions on the case. Chuck Murphy, the cabin owner, said, "It's a real conundrum, a tragic, terrible story. All I know is that he did not go down the chimney. He got in the fireplace, went up, but why? I think it still remains a mystery, one of those sad stories. The case is bizarre, perplexing. Several questions come to mind. The rebar in the chimney would have prevented anyone an entry unless it was removed before the demolition or rusted away as suggested by the coroner. Why would Josh remove his clothes and leave them by the fireplace and his boots? Why was the breakfast bar dragged to cover the fireplace entrance instead of inside the cabin?" The end.
No, that's interesting. This, like I said before, this story always bugged me. And just how he got into the chimney in the first place, and then the breakfast bars in front. They never said whether. I mean, I know they were demoing the house. They never said whether the doors were locked. I mean, you could still, when the guy came to go look at the house, he would know if it was locked. They never said that.
Yeah.
I mean, if you get locked, if you go there as a teen, you take off all your clothes, which I don't know why he would do that.
Yeah.
And then go out and then lock himself in. Wouldn't you break a window to get back in? Mm-hmm. Wouldn't you do that? Why would you risk going to a chimney and going down?
I don't know, man.
So
here's my thing. And it might be a reach just by reading it, but I came to this conclusion in my head. I would have checked to see if there was any rivers or lakes by there. So think about this. He accidentally falls in the water. Gets his clothes wet. Right. Owner of the cabin's like, "Hey, I got a cabin over here. Why don't you come over here and I'll get dried off and stuff." Something happens. And I don't know what happens because he says there was no broken bones, no trauma to the head, no bullet holes, no stabbings or all that.
No drugs in his system.
No drugs in his system. But something happened, and it freaked whoever was the owner of the cabin, whoever was staying there. It doesn't have to necessarily be the owner. Some people have,
it could be keys. Someone,
and didn't like what happened or something like that, and he died.
Well, I mean, if you're gonna he didn't strangle him. There was no strangle stuff. So if you're gonna kill someone, you would either get a pillow and put it over their face. Yeah. But I think he was mummified so well they would have been able to see that whether he got strangled, or even like put a pillow over his face or clothes over his face. And
now there's also a thing too where maybe this person was armed and told him to climb up the chimney.
Yeah,
take off your clothes.
But here's the thing: why would you leave his clothes behind? You wouldn't do that.
Because he probably
probably
got raped.
Yeah,
they didn't check for semen. They didn't check for They didn't do all that. The coroner just didn't. It sounded like the coroner didn't really do a thorough corpse autopsy.
I bet if you go back and look deep into who these people are, like the owner of the house, people who have access to the house, this other Andrew guy, right? And see who are they related to, the people in the town, like the coroner or the sheriff or firemen or whatever, like it's because it's
something with higher power of that town.
It sounds like a cover up to me.
It does.
That's what it stinks.
It really does, and I think I am willing to bet that poor Josh probably got raped, and this person didn't have the guts to kill him, so he just said, climb up that chimney. Made him climb up the chimney, and then he closed it off.
Yeah.
To where he couldn't get out. And maybe Josh was trying to climb out, realized he couldn't, try to go back down, that's what got him stuck. That is my thing.
Yeah.
My theory. Let's go to the one that bothers me. The other one bothered me a little bit, but this one will always bother the shit out of me.
Yeah.
I remember seeing this on when they redid
Unsolved Mysteries.
Unsolved Mysteries, and I was super excited about it. And I was like, oh man, I know it's not Robert Stack. It's not going to be Robert Stack, but it's the idea of Unsolved Mysteries.
The music and stuff, yeah.
Very nostalgia. But this is...
so you know a little bit about this one.
I know a little bit about this one.
Okay.
The suspicious case of Rey Rivera and why he matters. So yeah, this is this is an article of it, but it starts with I'm gonna start right here. I'm not sure how long this series will be. I'm not sure how many people will read this post. I assume not many, but nonetheless, I feel burdened to write about this case, and I'm not sure why. Perhaps a part of why I'm writing it to figure out why I care so much. Here's what I do know. For 16 years, a wife has been without her husband. Parents have mourned their youngest son, and siblings have lost their brother. Nieces and nephews have wondered about their uncle, and individuals have missed Ray, their friend. What I do know is that Rey Rivera was discovered in a room on the second floor of the Belvedere on May 14, 2006. What I do know that at first glance, it looks like he jumped off on top of a building, of the building. What I do know that many look past evidence, facts, and questions so they can hold fast to their preconceived theories. What I do know is that life is often not so easy to explain away. Overwhelmed medical examiners. Rey Rivera died in 2006 when 276 of the 4,322 bodies autopsied by the Baltimore Medical Examiner Office were labeled homicides. In 2006, the Baltimore homicide rate was very high. This is the shitty part about this town too.
Yeah,
Baltimore is so corrupt and there's so many deaths. It's ridiculous. Baltimore homicide rate was very high, 43.3% compared to the 2006 national average homicide rate of 5.8%. Rate equals per 100,000 people. That's a little weird timing.
Yeah. Sorry. It's Yowie Dan.
Oh, nice. Yowie Dan.
Yowie Dan.
You're on the show. Literally.
Thanks for being on the show, Yowie Dan.
Okay. Many of the 2006 Baltimore homicides were gang-related, too. Unfortunately, the Baltimore homicide rate was only increased over the years 57.8 in 2017 and 58.6 in 2019.
Jeez.
Wow.
So if you want to kill somebody, go to Baltimore.
Yeah, because they're just not going to... Jeez. It's so bad.
Yeah.
It's logical to assume that in 2006, the number of homicide could have overwhelmed the Baltimore Medical Examiner's Office. For instance, when somebody dies, a medical examiner will label the death as one of 4 causes: natural, accident, suicide or homicide. There's also a secret fifth option called undetermined. In 2004, about 10% of the Baltimore City deaths were labeled undetermined by the medical examiner's office. Jesus. In 2006, Baltimore's undetermined deaths grew to 20%. Most major cities have few cases that are undetermined, but 10% undetermined is high. According to forensic pathology experts like Cyril Wecht, who investigated high-profile cases such as JFK assassination, yet even though the Baltimore Medical Examiner's Office ruled Rey's case as undetermined, the case remains open. According to Rey's wife, Allison, a Baltimore medical examiner official, claimed that Rey's broken shin wasn't consistent with a fall like the one he allegedly experienced. Marie Durenheimer agrees that some of Rey's injuries don't appear to be the result of an individual who suffered a 11 to 14-story fall. Durenheimer is a certified medical illustrator and attended Johns Hopkins University for her training. She creates medical illustrations and animations for educational materials, posters, brochures, interactive media, accidents, homicides, and complex situations, like creating a picture from details of a complex autopsy, so that authorities can see what happened from a different angle.
Yeah.
So they're showing like a medical illustration of Rey's injuries based on the autopsy notes. Mm-hmm. Though brutal and devastating, much of the damage of Rey's body doesn't align with what Durenheimer has seen in similar cases. She noted that the fallen victims, like Rey, who had landed feet first, usually have severe foot injuries. A majority of the injuries are not predominantly on one side of the body. Most of Rey's injuries were on the left side of the body. Having seen creative visuals for countless accidents, suicides, homicides, and falling victims, she believes Rey's injuries are more consistent with a person who was beaten to death or hit by a car. Ooh. Miriam Moya agrees with Durenheimer. Moya is a forensics expert specializing in traffic accidents, impact biomechanics, and crime scenes, who wrote a book on Rey Rivera's case. She works in forensics with Spain's Ministry of Justice and teaches regularly at the United Nations University and Postgraduate European University Institute. Moya points out that the broken strap of Rey's right flip-flop corresponds to how a majority of his injuries were on the right side of his body. Because of these facts and more, Moya believes that Rey's injuries are similar to someone who was beaten or hit by a car. To Durenheimer's credit, she does claim to possess the level of expertise of some of her colleagues in related professions. However, in her opinion, she believes that authorities need to consult a forensic engineer or a biomechanical expert to pore over the case. And then when you have overwhelmed coroners, you have overwhelmed police.
Yeah, you get not so thorough investigations or reports.
And I like to point out, during this time was one of the worst, like, corruptions. It's still corrupted, but where they actually found out that most police, especially like the man, I can't think of the name, where they take down drug dealers. Is that not the DEA? Is it?
No, it's the DEA's government. You're talking about the drug unit for the for the police.
So during that time, 2006, is when the documentary "We Own This City" came out, and they were talking about between 2004 and 2008 that group was just putting in. They were given unlimited overtime. Mm-hmm. And they would just put in these wrong hours, and whatever drugs or money they found,
they kept. And so that, just to point out how corrupt this was. So during this time of a murder is what, is being overlooked. Mm-hmm. So just as Baltimore Medical Examiner's Office could have been overwhelmed with the number of homicides, the police department was probably very stressed with the homicides as well as other crimes. Such stress could be why some in the Baltimore Police Department
were so quick to label Rey's death as a suicide. Very few, if any, photos of the scene exist, including Rey's body and his belongings found on the roof. On the day Rey's body was discovered, witnesses didn't report police searching for fingerprints in the area or placing Rey's belongings on the roof and evidence bags. Instead, eyewitnesses saw a couple officers laughing and throwing his belongings from the roof into the room.
Wow. If that's not a cover up, I don't know what is.
I don't know, man. That's why I'm thinking, I always forget he was in Baltimore. He saw something corrupt.
Yeah.
Corruption. And if you think, I forgot what his job was, but I need to look into it. I don't want to say it and be wrong, but
they might mention it on here.
Yeah. Wow. As a matter of fact, the police allowed cadets from Police Academy to walk through the room on the very day Rey was discovered. A door to the room was left wide open, and the hallway wasn't even sealed off from the public. Just down the hallway from the room where Rey was found was an entrance to the parking garage. The parking garage and its video surveillance were never investigated.
Well, see,
Jesus,
you don't do that if you want to cover something up. So,
oh my God. Evidence, facts, and questions. Though not all of the police believe that Rey died by suicide, many did still stick to their quick assumption. However, they aren't alone. Author Makita Brotman, who was living in the Belvedere in 2006, wrote a book detailing her investigations of Rey Rivera's death. Her conclusion is that Rey probably died by suicide. Brotman admits when she first heard about Rey's case, she immediately assumed it was a suicide. She also writes about her fascination with suicides and bizarre deaths. One of her colleagues claims she was obsessed with such a study. Now, there's nothing wrong with having an interest in such subjects, but it can become a liability if the fascination causes one of the presumptions when investigating and writing on a case like Rivera's. Instead of searching for proof for our theories, perhaps we should be asking, where does the evidence lead? Our brains are wired to rush decisions and resolve problems as fast as possible. That's why we humans find it challenging to be empathetic and consider varying perspectives in any given situation. For whatever reason, it comforts some people to quickly label a case like this a suicide instead of acknowledging the label unsolved. The evidence, facts, and unanswered questions of the case demand we keep searching for answers.
This is the part I was more interested in hearing about.
Yeah. I'm talking about the objective evidence, facts, and unanswered questions like the 1 a.m.-ish triggering of the Rivera's house alarm on both the day before and the day of Rey's disappearance is creepy, as the possibility the living room window was tampered with from the outside. We still don't know who called Rey. During the late afternoon, early evening of May 16, ultimately the call made him run out of the house and begin a chain of events that evening, which eventually resulted in Rey's death. According to phone records, the mysterious call came from the Agora, or one of Agora's companies, the company Rey was doing work for. The Oxford Club was one of those companies. Lord. It's like the more you read, the more just effed up it is. No Belvedere employees, residents, or customers in the lobby, restaurants, or any bars, clubs saw Rey or anyone who looked like Rey in the Belvedere at time of the evening of May 16th. Keep in mind that Rey knew employees at the Belvedere and had frequented its restaurants and clubs. Two bartenders who knew Rey were working on that evening on May 16th, but did not see him. None of the Belvedere video camera recordings placed Rey inside or outside of the building on the evening of May 16th. Weird. For whatever reason, the Belvedere video roof cameras were disconnected or not working on May 16th. But had been working the day before and working the day after.
Yeah.
Perhaps the roof cameras would have revealed that Rey was not on the roof on May 16th.
Somebody probably called him to go to the Belvedere, but he never made it there.
Yeah.
and they just turned off the cameras as a backup in case he did make it there and they didn't intercept him, I bet.
Rey was extremely afraid of heights, so why would he jump? He had no history of problems with mental or emotional health. An engineering study of Rey's case showed that based on distance, Rey would have had to run at least 11 miles per hour to reach the place where his body was found. Therefore, Rey could not have been pushed off the roof or accidentally fallen off the roof. If he jumped off the 13-story roof, Rey would have had a short distance with several obstacles in the way to jump or to run 11 miles per hour and flip-flops to jump 45 feet in order to reach where the hole was located. Is that realistic? No.
No.
In 1991, Mike Powell set the long jump record for an impressive 29.425 feet. Keep in mind that Mike Powell was wearing the proper shoes for a record-setting jump. However, some still maintain that Rey Rivera beat Mike Powell's record for jumping 45 feet off the Belvedere rooftop while wearing flip-flops. Authorities and researchers believe that Rey couldn't have jumped from the ledge of the Belvedere. A ledge would have been difficult to navigate, not to mention that one would have to enter a private residence to even reach the ledge. My God. Many have reasoned that given his injuries and where his body was located, Rey could not have jumped off the parking lot roof. If Rey jumped off the 13-story roof, why were his phone and glasses both unscathed after hitting the roof on the second floor, where the hole was? When asked if Rey's cell phones could have emerged unscathed from a 13-story fall, Mel Blizzard, a commander in the I know that name too. A commander in the Baltimore Police Department and behavioral analyst who researched the case, replied, "It's possible. I just find it to be highly unlikely with that type of kinetic energy hitting the rooftop at the time." One of Rey's brand new flip-flops had broken band and fresh drag marks. How is this the case if he jumped off the roof?
Yeah, I've been going on record and say that he never jumped off the roof.
No.
So
he was pushed off somewhere else, probably. Or he was hit by a car. I didn't even think of that.
And then dragged in there.
Okay. Where is Rey's keepsake money clip wallet that he never left at home without? His keys, glasses, cell phone, flip-flops were found, but why has the wallet never been found? Other than decomposition, why was Rey's body not in worse condition because of the 13-story fall? One man took an 8-story jump out of the Belvedere, landed on the street, broke almost every bone in his body, and was a complete mess. Yet some hypothesize that Rey took a 13-story jump, thus ignoring the fact that his body was in better condition than the man who took an 8-story jump from the same hotel. The initial detective felt that someone had staged the scene on the roof with the whole phone, glasses, and flip-flop sandals. The same detective also believed that the hole was too small for Rey to fall through from such a height. According to Allison, before transferring away from Rey's case, the initial lead detective told her to be very careful as she continued investigating. Why would she say that?
Because she probably knows some stuff and doesn't want to say it.
He indicated that if Rey was murdered, there were probably certain individuals who didn't want the truth to surface. After Rey's body was discovered, an anonymous individual kept calling the police to retrieve Rey's laptop.
That's suspicious.
If the caller was from his previous employer or one of his subsidiaries that he was contracting with, why not reveal the fact to the police? Even better, why not call Allison for help regarding the computer? Such a request wouldn't seem strange if the laptop had material that Rey had been creating or contracting organizations. As Sherlock Holmes said, when you have eliminated all which is impossible, then whatever remains, however improbable, must be the truth.
Is that Octum's razor?
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay.
My personal opinion is that when one objectively examines the evidence, objectively observes the facts, and objectively ponders the unanswered questions, it becomes challenging to believe Rey jumped off the roof of the Belvedere. What Rey teaches us about pursuing the truth. Some may reason that all of my above examples show how I'm seeing everything through the lens of Rey being murdered. Not quite, though. I lean towards something awful happening to Rey, and I'm honestly pointing out the objective facts, undisputed evidence, and unanswered questions, and I have no ego here. I'm content with being wrong. However, it frustrates me when intelligent people explain away facts and ignore significant evidence because they're already developed their own theories. So yeah, I think it's safe to say that he was murdered.
Yeah, we haven't done any investigation on what his company does.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't look it up or nothing, but they're obviously tied into the city or the police or something, because I mean, you have to be up somewhere high to have the coroner or the detectives or the cops that come in and initially find the body, and you gotta have some pull there, man, or something, because he was obviously seeing something he wasn't supposed to, or had information he was not supposed to have, or something. What are your thoughts?
I believe the same thing. I lean towards the Josh Maddux thing. You know, it's all about power, and it's sad because it's Baltimore. That whole area is just corrupt, and if political people are corrupt there, then there's no boundaries to any other companies that work there that are corrupt, that probably have leeway towards cops' arms and reach and stuff like that. That's what it all leads to. And now I'm willing to bet that one of those companies is probably, I don't know, I don't want to spit nonsense out, but it's got to be something drug related. And he probably saw something that he didn't see.
The autopsy didn't say anything about stuff in the system, right? It didn't say nothing about that.
No, not that I read.
Okay, that's just odd, because it didn't say how long his body was there, right? But he was decomposing.
Yeah.
So he must have been there for a couple of days.
And if I remember correctly, on the Unsolved Mysteries episode, that room that he fell into just magically happened to be in construction, and they had it like the public wasn't, like, no customers can go in there, no other people can go in there, not even faculty or employees. It was completely cut off, and it's like whoever did this knew precisely and where to put his body. Like cameras weren't working on the rooftops the day of. Yeah, before and after working. Why?
That's suspect. Big
Very
time.
suspect. And yeah, the guy who wrote the article is it's intelligent people, pushing away evidence and just working on theories. Not really word for word he said, but I understood it, and it's just very very sad. Like when an innocent person is caught up under that, and there's nothing you can do.
What if he wasn't an innocent person? What if he was a bad person and then he just got caught up in other bad people? What if that was the case?
That's also a possibility, but
I mean, we don't know Rey or what he did or anything like that, but I'd like to think he was an innocent person and just got caught up with the wrong people. And so I want to say this is probably the first time we've actually, I don't know, this is probably the second time I've done a show, or you weren't a part of that first one. It's non-Bigfoot or paranormal related. Because I think I interviewed Uncle Richard for his comic book, El Gato Negro, and this one. Are you okay?
No, yeah, just that bothers me. You know, because I can go on and on. Because you've never seen We Own the City, right?
No.
There was like, you know, bad, you know, like you brought up, like maybe he was a bad person, got caught up with bad people. Like there is a person, I forgot his name. He was a police officer, or he was a police officer, and then he got promoted to that drug unit, and he took some money.
Yeah.
He didn't want to, but he took some money, and now he was a detective, and
so they got something on him now.
They got something on him, and they were investigating it, and he knew that he would have. His thought was, I'm too good that I'm gonna eventually break, and I'm gonna rat out, but I don't want to be a rat. So he fakes a shooting, and he accidentally kills himself. He was trying to wound himself, but he accidentally killed himself. Now they on the show they said we can't confirm that this happened, but the shooter was never found, and the bullet that hit him was the same bullet from his gun.
From his gun, yeah.
So you're just like, he got under that where he was surrounded by bad people. He wasn't really a bad person. He just took money.
He just had a bad day.
A bad day. He took money, and he was a good husband, good father, a great partner, and yeah. So it makes you wonder if that is the case of Rey, then
that one bugs me because that one is just like you know, bad doings or bad people and stuff like. But the Maddux one, that really bugged me because there's no reason why, you know, he should have died.
Yeah.
Because I don't know because you just don't know if he had like some kind of mental illness or anything like that, or maybe saw something or something possessed him. I don't know.
No, I still think he was murdered.
Yeah.
There's too many factors and
variables,
and evidence that for some reason it's not letting them, because they closed it, right?
Yeah.
The Rey is still open. His case is still open because they know it's like they can't really close it, because why would you close that? There's no reason. There's just so much shit there that it's a murder. It's not what do they call it? Undetermined?
Yeah.
It's not undetermined. It is a flat out murder. And the other one, unfortunately, Josh Maddux is ruled as closed, and it's an accidental death.
But these two ones really bothered me the most. And
there's another one, right? These are 5 unexplainable deaths, which I can probably read real quick.
Yeah, you can. There's not much details in these. These are
that's why I said I could probably read these. So Adamski left his house to run some errands on June 6, 1980. That was the last time anyone ever saw him alive. Jesus. Oh, I thought that was mine. Because it keeps popping up an ad, and I think,
Okay.
That was the last time anyone saw him alive. 5 days later, his body was found atop a large pile of coal at his workplace, but he'd only been dead for a few hours. Okay. There were no signs of a struggle, but there was strange burns and ointment on Adamski's neck. Coroners eventually said he suffered a heart attack, but some thought that the peculiar position of his body indicated that he had been dropped to earth from above. What?
That one, I think this one is that I think he claims that he was been abducted by UFOs, and originally it claims that it had gone unnoticed, but his condition of his corpse caused some to speculate.
Wow. Christopher case. After going on a date with someone who claimed to be a witch, 35-year-old Christopher Case told his friends that he was cursed. He said the witch was tormenting him and feared for his life. A few weeks later, Case's dead body was found in his bathtub. There was no water in the tub, and he was fully clothed, kneeling in a prayer position, although there were numerous crucifixes and other talismans in his apartment. There were no signs of foul play. Coroners claimed that he, too, died of a heart attack. Jeez.
That's creepy.
Carl Pruitt. 1938, Carl Pruitt found his wife in bed with another man. He strangled her with a chain, then committed suicide, but that's not the creepy part. Oh, yay. Over time, people began to notice strange marks around Pruitt's headstone. They almost look like chain links. Then a rash of unexplained deaths plagued the town. A boy who threw stones at the grave was strangled by a bicycle chain. Wow.
That's weird.
His mother was strangled by a clothesline, and another man by the reins of his horse.
What's that other guy got to do with it? He didn't...
After a policeman investigating the claims was practically decapitated by a fence in a car wreck. One man decided to smash the tombstone with a hammer. Afterward, he was found dead in the cemetery gates with a chain around his neck.
That is a powerful entity.
That's like Final Destination.
That can't be coincidence, right?
No, it's not.
Everything got to do with the neck, or
yeah, and a chain. A chain. The clothesline was the only thing that was different, and being decapitated.
Yeah.
The Jameson family. Before the Jameson family went missing, they were convinced that they were being haunted by ghosts. They claimed that their 6-year-old daughter, Madison, had been talking to a spirit of a girl who had died in the house decades earlier. In 2009, they took a trip to view some land that was for sale and went missing. Their dead bodies weren't discovered for 4 years. They were face down, side by side in the woods, not far from their abandoned vehicle. Footage, I remember this story now. Mm-hmm. Footage of the day they disappeared shows the family packing and unpacking their car as if they were in a trance. Since no cause of death was ever determined, many have suggested that the family was possessed. Wow. Mutilated man. In 1994, a man was found dead and mutilated in Brazil. Many of his internal organs had been removed through holes in his chest. It is believed that the man was alive when his organs were removed, and that he ultimately suffered a heart attack caused by extreme pain and shock. Medical examiners also concluded that the man's organs had been sucked out of his body with some type of vacuum-like machine. Among the parts missing were his left eye, left ear, and lips. His body was also completely drained of blood. Considering the tool's knowledge and efficiency that harvest that this would have taken, many believe that this man, a victim of extraterrestrials performing human body experiments. So is this guy?
Yeah, I think that sounds more like witchery stuff.
Yeah.
Like, they were... That's weird.
That is...
These were weird. There's not a lot of detailed stuff on this one, but this one's... Those always bugged me too, yeah, so...
Those are weird.
Weird.
How would you rate my reading?
It was great.
Thanks.
This is way better than mine, so...
My throat is dry now.
We're just over an hour, a little bit right here, so...
Yeah. So, what can you take about... Because these are different.
Yeah.
Those are supernatural,
yeah,
weird deaths. Definitely supernatural, witchery, extraterrestrials,
ghosts,
vengeful ghosts. Like man,
it's not like supernatural.
Yeah, it literally. It's so weird. Like, but if you really think about it, though, the two main ones is unsolved mysteries. Is like one of those things where. It's the title itself. It's unsolved.
Mm-hmm.
Unsolved, unresolved, and that means that the people who lost that person, either by death or corruption or cover up, it's terrifying to be going through that. But I don't know which the Josh Maddux one is the one that bothers you the most.
Yeah, it's always bugged. I remember reading about that one. I think on Real Time, that was always bugged me, and it almost feel like I could have. I don't know. I couldn't have, of course, but it's almost like I could have gone and go look for him or helped him or something. I was thinking that back then.
Yeah, You know how I feel about that? The Chris Watts and his wife and his 2 daughters.
Oh yeah.
That always bugs me. I don't like to fly anywhere, but if it meant investigating that house, I would do it.
Yeah, we got to do a show on that one. We haven't.
Yeah, I would do it because I know there's just so much audio that they've caught whenever they were checking the house, and it's sad because I think, to be honest with you, I think he killed him there.
Yeah,
I think he killed him in the house.
Yeah, because they got those TikToks and those those YouTubes of cops going to that house, and the dogs are reacting to a little girl.
Yep.
So that one's kind of, they're probably innocent.
And I don't know why. Like, I always, like, when she was missing, I found her Facebook. I did a deep dive. I was not stalking, but like doing research, and I was like hoping to see if she posted anything on Facebook or anything like that. And right then and there, I was like, Chris did it. There's no doubt in my mind that he did it. And the way looking at his body, he was talking, it just wasn't a man that wasn't concerned at all.
Yeah.
Because if you're missing your wife that's pregnant and your 2 daughters.
Did he have like an affair?
He had an affair with a woman that wasn't even pretty. Like, come on, man.
Yeah. Why can't you just leave your wife and just say he just made it worse? But
idiot. But he's being tormented and haunted by his girls. They're visiting him, and
that's good. That's good.
It's not the torment I want. He deserves.
He deserves that for right now.
Yeah.
So, I did want to say I haven't had a chance to talk about this one too much, but probably a couple of weeks ago, maybe a month ago, we got an email from a Kathy DeBruler. Hopefully, I'm saying her name right, DeBruler. And it was a really lovely email. I read it to you.
Yeah.
And so she was like very.
I messaged her too. She is very sweet.
Did she message you back? Mm-hmm. Okay.
We're just talking about like hydration powder.
Yeah, she was listening to one of the episodes. I think we were talking about.
Yeah.
You were doing that drink, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, she sent me like 2 or 3 emails, and she's very very sweet talking about us, and she was saying something along the lines that she feels really close to us, and she doesn't have a close family like that, and she felt like that we were like part of her family, and she looked, it was very sweet, and I wanted to thank you, Kathy, for that. It really means a lot when you send stuff like that. When people email me stuff like that, it's really touching, and because like you and I are doing a show, and we do it because we like to do it. And then I realized that we're actually affecting people. So
in a good way.
Yeah, in a good way. And even if it's bad, I'll take it too. I mean, people want to complain about the show, I'll listen to them. But when you affect people and, you brighten their day, I don't know. It's hard. It's hard to, I guess really put it in words how great that feels.
Yeah.
And so
because we're just talking just to talk and talk about subjects that, hey, we should talk about this because it's interesting to talk about.
Yeah.
We talk about subjects that interest us, whether it be stuff like that, like unresolved cases, mysterious deaths, paranormal, UFO, Bigfoot, Bigfoot penis.
Yeah.
Just stuff like that. Right? No one will ever talk about, because I've never heard anyone talk about that.
Yeah, no, I think Matt's talked about, he didn't say it per se in his, but teabagging, Bigfoot teabagging. Yeah. We kind of coined that phrase, but but yeah, the people who listen to this show, I hope they find some enjoyment in it, and we're like an escape. We don't talk politics. I've said it over. Yeah. We don't talk politics. We don't talk religion, Because I think Bigfoot Club is like, it's like a release, people, listen to us because they don't want to listen to that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. And, in politics and, you need to know what's going on in the world. Mm-hmm. You need to know, who your government, representatives are, and you should write to them. But I think our show is like, we talk about Bigfoot. We talk, like you're saying, talk about the paranormal, but we talk about other stuff too. I mean, so people who listen to the show for a long period of time, they know that we don't talk about Bigfoot all the time. I like talking about Bigfoot.
Yeah.
I mean, Bigfoot Club, it's, we're anti-heroes. Mm-hmm. We're not good guys. We're not bad guys. We're somewhere in the middle.
Yeah. We're Paul Atreides.
Yeah.
That knife chip and shatter.
Yes. Those who control the spice.
Controls the universe.
I was going to say, I was at work this week, and I have that Dune 2 ringtone on my thing, and it was going off, and I think it was you calling me. And this guy was walking down the hall, or down into the lobby, and that's what he shouted to me. He was going to the garage, which is another direction. He says, he who controls the spice controls the universe. I don't even know who he was. He just yelled it to me.
You should have hunted him down.
I know.
Hey man, you want to be Dune friends?
I know. And there's another guy at work that actually has the Atreides ring.
Oh yeah, you were telling me about that.
And I told him, I go, are you signing your work documents with that? He goes, I need to. So
you should get him that. What do they call that? The ink or whatever that they have to.
Oh, it's like a candle.
It's wax,
wax candle.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, we need to get him that.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's another thing too. Is that I'm reading that.
Yeah. How is that so far?
It's great. I'm enjoying it.
Good.
I'm gonna read that, and then I'm gonna read his direct the official direct sequel of Dune, not Dune Messiah. Paul of Dune.
And that's his son wrote that.
His sons wrote that one.
So it happens the 7 years of the war, or what?
No, excuse me. So Dune, there's Dune, and then Dune Messiah is 12 years later.
Right.
So it literally picks up from what I read right after he leaves Atreides to go start the Holy War against all the houses. Mm. So it's supposed to talk about that.
I wonder if they're going to talk about the Guild Navigators.
Oh yeah, they're probably going to be a big part of it.
Yeah,
because by Dune Messiah, I think he already controls all that.
Yeah,
he becomes a god. God Emperor Dune.
Yeah, he can bend space and time.
I still need to watch that part. I've already seen the movie like 4 times since I've already seen the second one.
Yeah, that's on 1.
Yeah, I know. That's what I was saying. I've already seen it like
space and time.
I was watching it on the new TV. Oh yeah, I got a TV in my man cave now.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Like I don't know. I know,
but I'm telling them.
Oh, okay.
The listeners want to know. Well, if you're watching on YouTube, you're a viewer and a listener. So,
they can't see it.
They can see the video.
Oh, the letter, the bars. But anyway, so get it together, sir.
No, we're not saying that. It's not a thing. It's not a thing, man.
Oh man, I'm so happy we're doing a show. So
yep,
it's going to be a little bit longer to this one.
That's okay. I'm pretty sure the people are like, yeah, man, you haven't given us a show in a month. So yeah,
we did.
Brian was like, so you're going to release another episode soon, or
yeah, we did. The last one we did was John Kershaw, but that one we did. Like
in March.
Yeah,
that's what I was saying.
So we just released that one. So we just been going. We just been doing a lot of stuff here at the house.
Yeah, getting hurt.
Hey, come on, man.
Oh, sorry. Get it together, sir.
We're not saying that.
Yard work. Keeping the house clean.
Yeah.
Setting up entertainment centers and messing it up.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that was all me.
And then, anyway.
You got any shout-outs?
Yeah, Kathy DeBueller.
Kathy, if you emailed me, I need to check my email. I'm sorry. But once I check it and I see if you have emailed me, I'll reply to you. If you haven't, that's okay. I hope you're doing well.
I want to shout out to Anthony Carr. He started listening to the show. Thank you, Anthony. Jonathan Socks. He started listening to the show. Alan and Georgie with Maxi Transfer. Thank you. They started listening to the show.
Nice.
So I'm pretty happy with that. Debbie, Jordan, if you're listening to the show, thank you very much.
The dude from 7-Eleven.
Yeah, the guys, the Deep Night guys at 7-Eleven. I can't think of their names. I think it's Tyler and somebody else. I can't.
Shout out to them for hooking us up with like bear claws or something.
Yeah, fresh stuff and
yeah.
7-Eleven rules.
And
anyway,
their pizza's good, man. I don't care what.
It's okay. It's okay.
It's cheap
okay.
too. You can get a whole box for like $3.
Hey man, I'm all right with that.
Yeah, man. Mm-hmm.
But anyway, shout out to those people. Just start listening to the show.
Shout out to Brian.
B-Town down.
B-Town. What up, B? What up, R?
What up, R? Anyway, okay. I think I can do something with this show.
I think you can.
So good night
and goodbye.
Goodbye.